My longtime friend, Joey, 33 male, and I, 31 female, work for a horse breeding and training facility. The job comes with a nice house on the property that we get to live in for free and have for 6 years. When I say nice, I mean 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, dual master, with a pool and hot tub. Dated, but it would probably be considered a mansion by some. There are some catches. It basically doubles as a B&B for out-of-town clients, especially during show season. We're expected to do a lot of cooking and entertaining there, but we both love it, which is why we stay here. I don't really date much. I'm more of an independent person by nature and a homebody by nature. Joey is kind of the opposite. He's got a lot of disposable income, and he lives the playboy lifestyle when he has time. But our jobs are taxing, so we spend a lot of time just hanging out together at the house, smoking and playing video games. He's my buddy. We spend most of our days together when he isn't on the road. He's upfront about not wanting a relationship with the women he sees, and I do know this. The dude is on like every dating site. The issue is he'll occasionally have women he sees regularly, and they sometimes will get the impression things are progressing, and I usually start becoming someone they don't like being around so much and begin to ask why I live there. He's currently seeing 4 different women periodically, 2 of them quite regularly. They know that he doesn't consider it a relationship, but he also doesn't tell them if and when or how many others there are and avoids that topic with them. Recently, one came over, Kelly, 36. And when he was finishing up with a client in the barn, I invited her in, got her a drink, and invited her to watch TV with me while she waited for him. When we talked, she asked about my relationships and if I planned to move out of Joy's house. I assume she worded it that way because Joy's the head trainer at the farm, so he's kind of the star of the show. I'm the manager, a much less glamorous position, but I do make more than him. I told her it was both of our houses, not just his, and that I didn't have any plans to move out. She then said, "It's just weird that at his age, he would want a female roommate while he's in a relationship." I said, "He's in a relationship?" Her response was that it wasn't official, but they were. I told her that was news to me. That seemed to offend her, and she said, "Well, maybe you don't know because you aren't the most important woman in his life. He doesn't have to get your permission." I said, "You're right. He doesn't. I actually don't care. I'm just surprised because if I had to rank the chicks he's currently seeing, you're maybe number 2. This obviously didn't go over well, and she ended up leaving. She called Joey and things there ended. He told me that he was unaware that they were basically in a relationship and said knowing that, he's glad it ended. Our other friend and coworker said it was an idiot thing to say to her. I didn't like her implying that I wasn't welcome in my own home, so I corrected some of her inaccurate beliefs about the situation, and it was the truth. Well, almost. Joey said she was more like number 3. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She thought she could act like the mistress of the house and try to push you out. Great job schooling her. It's hilarious, but kind of sad too. Kelly's 36. And she probably really thought, finally, this is the one. He makes good money, lives in a mansion, and she could probably quit her job. Poof! Now it's all gone. But I have no idea how he manages to have that much energy to entertain that many people, LMAO, and deal with the horses. The horses alone can leave you exhausted at the end of the day. Then add a woman or 2 or 5. Joey has more stamina than anyone I've seen or heard about in a long time. Also, he needs to change that not looking for anything serious to just looking for another mare to add to my stable. I think that might make things more clear for any potential Tinder matches. LMAO. Well done giving her a reality check. Joey saying she's number 3 sent me into a fit. I couldn't stop laughing. The moment when Kelly realized she wasn't even a side character, but she was acting like the main character. I can't help but think Kelly was like, he doesn't want anything serious, but I can change him. He'll get serious about me, which makes me cackle even more about it. Oh man, I knew a girl whose boyfriend told her that they weren't exclusive and that he's not interested in anything serious. She kept calling him her boyfriend and then gets angry when he sees other girls, tried to make him jealous by sleeping with other men. He didn't give a crap. Then she cries that he broke her heart. Girl, you told me yourself. He said he wasn't interested in anything serious. What did you think was going to happen? My 26 female, father 59, has been dating Paula, 38 female, for 4 years. I never got to know her well, as I was about to move out when we met. My sister 20 still lives between our parents and likes Paula, but finds her annoying. Paula has an odd attitude towards pregnancy. It became obvious when my cousin announced she was expecting back in 2021. Her daughter would be the first great-grandchild. We hadn't been sure my grandma would be around for that, and after an emotional announcement in which everyone was overjoyed, Paula commented that she felt it wasn't a big deal and didn't get what all the fuss was about. She kept that stance for all 9 months, but once the baby was born, Paula suddenly became a bit too interested in her, which my cousin was uncomfortable with. My husband, 28, and I announced our pregnancy earlier this year. At first, my father was over the moon. Since this is his first grandchild, I believed that would last. But as I heard from my sister, Paula was just as condescending as we expected, if not more. Whenever I announced anything about my pregnancy or baby, gender, first kicks, ultrasound pictures, etc., Paula always reacted with one of 3 phrases. Okay, that's not that big a deal. Or, is that all she talks about these days? I didn't care about it at first, but after a few weeks, I started to notice my father was also losing any interest he had in my pregnancy. As the months went by, he became increasingly detached and standoffish. He started to ignore or not pay attention to most of the updates I made on my baby. He also didn't come to our name reveal. We did that instead of a gender reveal. It was literally just a lunch party with the game we made up, or the baby shower, because, and I quote, Paula doesn't think it's worth it. My son was born on Halloween, and I decided not to tell my father and Paula. After almost 9 months of excuses and disinterest, I didn't see any reason to. I was in the hospital for 4 days, during which only my and my husband's closest friends and family visited us. The day before we left, I posted a picture of my son on Instagram, and that's when my father found out. He called to ask why I hadn't told him and Paula or invited them to meet my baby. I didn't lie. They didn't make any efforts to get involved, both emotionally and physically, during my pregnancy, so they'd have to wait for baby news like everybody else. My father and Paula are furious, accusing me of using my son as a pawn and keeping them away out of pettiness. They're saying I'm holding the fact that they missed a few dumb parties against them. My husband and pretty much my whole family agrees with me. My sister, while mostly on my side, still thinks that I should have told my father, since this is his first grandchild, and he had to find out he was born through social media. She thinks this is all Paula's fault, and I should apologize to our dad. Am I the idiot? Paula has no kids, but from what I gather, she doesn't want any. You're not the idiot. This really comes across to me as her having unresolved feelings about her decision not to have kids. Perhaps her feelings are exacerbated by people around her having kids, her getting older, being with a much older man, etc. She sounds like she's trying to convince herself and everyone else that because she didn't have kids, she has to poo-poo on anyone who wants to celebrate those milestones that she didn't ever have. Totally agree with that. Or she's not missing the having kids part, but is mad she missed out on the attention she would have received as the pregnant person. Your dad made a choice, and that choice was to care more about Paula's feelings than yours. You're doing great. Set the boundaries and stick to them. You don't owe them a relationship with your son. That needs to be earned and nurtured by him. Yeah, also, infertility and other reproductive issues is still a taboo subject, so it's not uncommon for people to say or act like they don't want kids, when really they have no choice or had to make choices that were difficult. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but I think there's room to recognize that you just never know why somebody might act weird about kids or pregnancy. I'm going with everyone's the idiot because the dad, I think, should have been told and probably feels stuck between his wife and daughter on this issue. Does he not have his own brain? He couldn't go to his grandchild's naming party because Paula didn't think it was worth it? She's perfectly allowed to think that and not attend. However, if the grandfather of the child wanted to be there, he could and should have said to his wifey, "Have a great afternoon. I'll see you after the naming party." If he wants a grandchild, he must start acting like a father first, and he's not. He wasn't interested then, so why should he be now? The school's athletic trainer, Beth, is a very strict woman. She started 2 years ago, and at the time, I thought she was just being a witch and on a power trip. She was not. All she was asking for was his basic respect. This became really apparent when the school had a meeting about her and went through every single incident with her. They used the camera footage for a lot of incidents. Parents know that the office is recorded, and it showed that the kids were awful and she was professional. The kids were awful and really ended up having a tantrum when she told them no. Many times the kids called her names, and it really made me reevaluate my opinion of her. An example for reference is when one kid needed to do a balance test and take off their shoes. She had a fit and refused to do so. The athletic trainer told her that was fine, but they couldn't play without it. She took off her shoes and called her some lovely names, not to mention the parents getting on her butt for it. Now my daughter is a sophomore, teen, and she needs to do a concussion test in the winter. If she doesn't, then she can't cheer. She knew about the whole thing, and they had a practice for the thing. She gave everyone a specific time to be in her office. My daughter got a time and didn't go in at that time. She went in at the end of practice when she was packing up. Bev told her no, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but my daughter had a massive fit about it. Bev stood her ground on it and went home. Now she's on vacation, and my daughter can't cheer until the concussion test is done. That'll probably be done in December, so she's missing many cheer events due to the Thanksgiving fest. My daughter was angry and wanted me to fight the school. I told her no, since I saw how she acted. I asked for the footage. That's what she gets for being inconsiderate to Beth. My wife wants to fight it, and both of them think I'm a huge jerk. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. These kids sound awful to deal with. I'm glad the school has video footage of Beth's interactions because, without it, she might lose her job due to unfounded accusations. These kids need to learn there are consequences for bad behavior, and being unable to participate when you really want to is a great natural consequence. Wow, I feel bad for this trainer. She sounds like she has a good personality and is good at her job, despite challenges. Teen behavior is definitely different around parents versus in a school environment. It sounds like all those kids are menaces, and some teen selfishness is showing up. It's natural, but that doesn't mean it's right. Talk with your wife about your concerns and hold the line with how you react to bad behavior from your teen. They put cameras in because the coaches wanted proof she was difficult, but all it showed was the parents, kids, and the coaches being awful. The old athletic trainer was super nice, but now I can only think about how she was a pushover. Not a single ounce of respect for her, and I don't blame her for not putting up with any BS. It was also extremely jarring how different daughter acts if we're not around. She would have never done that if either of us were close by. That is such an important lesson. Too many parents feel like they're in the right for unequivocal backing of their child's version. In real life, actions have consequences. In real life, mommy and daddy cannot bail us out. In real life, accountability is a thing. OP, your daughter needs to learn a lesson. This is a teaching moment. It is better for her to learn the lesson now and not later when the repercussion will surely be harder. My son Ashton is in the 4th grade, and I share custody of him with my ex. We have a schedule where we basically get him 1 week each. There were times when she messed with me about taking extra days without giving me the same time back. For example, she took him to visit her family in another state and came back 2 days later because of the flight issues. Because that wasn't her fault. She refused to comp me with extra days. Stuff like that. Ashton's school is connected to a park, and every Friday they do PE there. Well, he's 9 and does stupid things, and decided to see how far he could climb a tree. He got pretty far and then fell out. He had to get emergency surgery on his leg and got a bad concussion. He stayed overnight and then had another surgery on Saturday and released that day. My ex and I didn't discuss the custody schedule. We were concerned with other matters. On Sunday, my ex said she was going to pick Ashton up for the start of her week, and I reminded her that he can't be moved around like that. He's still loopy from the concussion and medicine. And how are you going to get a kid with a broken leg into your 2-seat Porsche? Another thing that he's still not able to wash himself, and he'll not let his mom do that, just me. I told her she can visit but needs to prepare for him to stay. She was angry, but knew I had a point, and there were doctor's orders. Long story short, my son stayed with me 6 days later because my ex couldn't get the time off work, whereas I work from home. Our 19-year-old son agreed to help take care of Ashton when Ashton needs a guy for something. Ashton can now use crutches and recovered from his concussion and can go back to school on Monday. My ex said she wanted to be compensated for the 6 days she lost by having Ashton by getting 2 weeks instead of 1. I said nope. She said that was unfair. I reminded her of all those times when I lost days for things that weren't her fault, and she refused to comp me. It's not my fault Ashton fell out of a tree and you couldn't get a week off, so I'm not comping you. I told her that I'm not going to be flexible with you when you aren't flexible with me. Am I the idiot? Edit. Son doesn't care, and it doesn't matter even if he did. He's not a tiebreaker. Everyone's the idiot. You guys are idiots. So much. You're in a competition or in a collaboration. I just can't with parents being so petty with each other. Let her have her 2 weeks, and you both sit and establish clearer rules for the future and agree to be flexible. Because life happens. Let her have the kid for 2 weeks. Child will not stop loving you in 2 weeks. The boy won't be harmed in any way. You're being selfish. Be a good father, a proper adult, and stop counting days. Tell your wife this is not a competition. The pettiness is big with you. If she has a Porsche, surely she can afford a big Uber to take the boy. See, you both are acting like children. See the big picture. The boy's recovering and loves and trusts both mother and father. That's what matters. 100%. It's also painfully obvious why he's divorced. OP says in his edit, the son's opinion doesn't matter. Holy crap, that poor kid. He's probably in pain and distress and being used by their parents to score points against each other without caring how he feels. OP, you are the idiot for that edit. Lost any and all credibility with that attitude. I disagree. Son's opinion really doesn't matter. Mom couldn't help him recover because she couldn't get off of work. Also, he's still not able to wash himself, and he will not let his mom do that. Don't ask a 9-year-old. They shouldn't decide at that age and are often more concerned they'll hurt a parent's feelings. If you were the wife trying to get time back from your husband, everybody would be saying you're well within your right because of people's favorite saying, mess around and find out. You were old days. Now your ex doesn't like the precedent she set.